Rob Cesternino, Jessica Liese here with the Chadas, Hannah and Simone. Very sad to see you go out of the race. And I know this was such a beautiful sisterly moment that we ended this on, which was, I don't know, a nice ending. Simone, were you feeling the love from Hannah?
Oh, always. I think that throughout like every single leg, but I would say that this leg, it felt like a culmination of all of the love. And to see Hannah at the finish line and just cheering me on the whole step of the way through, that definitely was my lifeline and my power to keep on going.
I was
Uh,
so
It it was really genuinely moving. I was kind of choked up watching the two of you.
it was cinematic. Oh my God, the way
Yes.
that they ended it with the music, I was like,
Yes.
it was really emotional, but also like if Simone and I obviously knew we were going home this episode, and I think if there's any way to go out, we ended on just the highest note possible. We ended on a very reflective note, just sort of like walking down memory lane of our childhoods and recognizing that we didn't get a whole lot of time together. And that is ultimately why we came onto the show. That is why we wanted this experience for ourselves. And so, with us being eliminated from the competition, yes, that sucks because at the end of the day, we're dancers, we're athletes, we're competitors. And we definitely felt like our journey was cut short, but like we got what we wanted out of this experience. And so, no regrets. It was a 10 out of 10 experience for sure.
Yeah, you're both super impressive. I feel like that every episode, I couldn't believe when they said, "Oh, we're this," and that so many credits to you both. Now we found out, Simone, you built your own furniture. Is
Yes.
that IKEA or are you like from like real construction work going on?
Rob, I wish that I could say the latter, but unfortunately it's the former.
That's okay.
However,
Listen, that stuff's not easy to do.
I know. No, it definitely takes a bit. Like that nightstand that you see, I built that. My bed, that
Hmm.
nightstand I built. Part of my couch.
Yeah.
I spent
Meanwhile,
What do
oh,
you mean
I've
for
part
it.
of your couch? What happened to the whole thing?
The whole thing. I had a little bit of help.
Okay. Ah, okay.
Meanwhile, I've never touched a tool in my life unless it's in like the operating room. I don't think, yeah, no, I've never touched a single piece of furniture.
Okay. Well, we'll get to your work with tools when we talk about the fish. Don't worry. Can you talk a little bit, Simone, about the how difficult it was to go down the hill? It really they didn't talk about this much on the show, but it really from reading, Chat BCC and all the accounts, it really seemed like the having more body weight was going to be something that would really help the teams get down the hill.
Yes, no, that's super, super good question. And I would definitely say I believe it was just Kyland and Chelsea that used their backpacks. I could be mistaken, but I thought that was such smart strategy watching it back last night to do because yes, I mean with the momentum of like the heavier weight pushing you down, that definitely helped, as well as teams who had more upper body strength and were able to really push themselves forwards with their arms or if they're just stronger in their shoulders versus teams with lower body strength, which we consider Hannah and I to have more of since we're dancers, and with dancers definitely putting an emphasis more on strengthening their legs. And so I definitely think that it really came down to physics and the distribution of body weight.
Yeah, I second all of that.
Hmm. Makes
I
sense.
I do wish that in this challenge in particular, because your rate of acceleration is just a function of your weight and gravity acting on your weight. I do wish that for the lighter players, they allowed them more time to get down that hill. Because, of course, someone like Kyland, who's twice my weight, is going to get down the hill much faster than someone who's half his weight. So that was really my only qualm about this challenge. And also, like, as you saw, the final four teams, it was all women. It took them minimum 12 tries to get down that hill, whereas, like, Tucker got it in his first try. It took Kyland 2 tries. It took Joseph 4 tries. So this challenge to me was a little, I wish it could have been more equitable,
Hmm.
but it was so rough just watching those last four teams struggle. But when each of them were leaving one by one, like first Chelsea, then Paige, then Christine, like Simone and I we're truly so proud of.
100%.
It was brutal. It was brutal to watch, let alone to do.
So I want to back up and talk a little bit about the fish because it seemed like, I mean, Simone, you just went through it this leg. First you had the fish, then you had to put together the cart, couldn't get down the hill fast. Um, how much do you think it would have affected things if you'd been able to get the fish done more quickly?
Ooh, that's also such a good question. I would say there would have probably subconsciously been a little bit more internal motivation there, um, especially coupled with, well, I will say another thing that sort of really just set the mind back a little bit was the bougie bars, if anything more than the fish, but also us running out of the detour, and then running back in. So I would really say rather than the actual fish detour itself, it was more so the journey to running out, switching detours. And I know that they showed this in the first opening scene of the first episode was me just face planting when I ran. But it wasn't in last night's episode, but that was another thing. It was just like running for my life. I completely like knocked myself out. So that was another thing, more so just the running that really
Did that hold you back?
contributed to
Was
me.
that an issue for you that you got hurt?
I would say it was nothing too crazy. I'm definitely no stranger to falling. I know the ground, like I know the back of my hand with how clumsy
Simone.
I am, which is so bad. Yes, I've actually broken my head open like 4 times, but that's a different story. Um, but I would say, if anything, it was really like I need to take a step back. Like I am losing like balance. I'm just like going full force when I really just need to breathe.
Hmm.
But although like taking that little like breath in and like that calm down, it was still definitely like lingering there. And I think that that was super like reflective of like the pressure and just like the rush I was feeling, which contributed to the roadblock for sure.
Hannah, if medical school doesn't pan out, then have you considered opening a sushi restaurant?
Yeah.
Yes. How did you know that was my dream? After retiring from being a doctor, that is my goal. No, okay, so that fish, like the fish skinning, you really did have to be so precise. So I have a newfound respect for fishermen everywhere and fish skinners everywhere. And I don't know if that's like a formal title, but that is one of the cool things about this race because when else would Simone and I be skinning a fish in Croatia? And you really immerse yourself in that city and that particular culture, and us getting to learn various words and phrases from the different places that we went to. Like Simone and I really just kind of took advantage of the fact that we were on the Amazing Race, getting to travel the world on someone else's dime while also competing for a million more dollars. Like we really tried to immerse ourselves as best as we could in every challenge and just soak up every moment.
About immersion, I think that was my favorite thing about the race that the two of you ran was your genuine interest in picking up local language. And obviously, like I've put it out, you have a really good ear for it. Was that something that what was your strategy? Like, how did you pick those things up? And do you think it ever concretely helped you?
Absolutely. Now, on this leg in particular, our Croatia leg, because we flew into Croatia, we couldn't sit down at a train station or we had no train conductor to turn to, and like you can't talk at the airport. And so we weren't able to actually learn any Croatian, but that was something we were very intentional about doing in the Czech Republic specifically. And yes, I would say that helped us out because when you're like, if someone were to approach me and they start speaking in English and I speak to them back in English, that saves time versus them speaking to me in a language that I don't speak. Now we have to translate, go into the phones and yada, yada, yada. So Simone and I really just wanted to make the locals' lives easier and cut down that translation time. And so we sat down with the train conductor and we got a 20 to 30-minute crash course in Czech. And we wrote down key phrases and things to listen for. So that's why you were able to hear us having a back and forth conversation. And then in the third leg, which they didn't show any of this at all, but in Kutna Hora, they speak a different dialect of Czech than they do in Prague. And so Simone and I were able to kind of learn some of that dialect and like sort of change the way that we spoke to the locals. And again, that helped us out with directions because we could go up to anyone and ask them for directions instead of being like English, English, who speaks English. So it saved us time, absolutely. And just allowed us to feel like okay, we're in the Czech Republic doing the Amazing Race instead of like these Americans transplanted and just, trying to win $1 million.
We heard at the U-turn board, Joseph and Adam seemed like that they intentionally wanted to use the U-turn on Rabina and Christine to make sure that you two didn't end up getting the U-turn. Was that something that you had talked about with them?
No, so not in that leg in particular. And wait, actually, Simone, why don't you take this one? Because I've been doing a lot of chit-chatting and I want to make sure you
Gosh,
have.
not even. Well, I would just second that with Hannah is that we didn't explicitly talk about it in that leg. But I would definitely say, like, outside of the Trainwreck Alliance, we felt very, very close to each member, even though Hannah and I ended up being on a different train after all with them. And so we definitely felt like we had each other's backs for sure. Um, Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting choked up. No, I'm just kidding. But I would definitely say that again, it was something super unspoken that if the time came to it, um, tit for tat. And so we definitely weren't surprised. We were, of course, still super, super grateful. But with the relationship that we had with Joseph and Adam, we're not surprised.
Mhm.
Can I just add something really quickly in
Yes,
there?
yes.
I think on a season such as this, where all of us have history,
Mhm.
I think, and with all of us being from Big Brother, we kind of think differently. And so, of course, our social games and our strategy are maybe going to play more of a role in this season than most seasons of The Amazing Race. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what that sound was. But so sorry. So I think Simone and I, because we knew we would never be the strongest, the fastest, the most agile, we weren't going to be the best at the physical challenges. What we really relied on was our ability to get other teams to like us. And so
Mhm.
even down to like the way that we did our makeup, the way that we did our hair, like we really did want to make ourselves seem as young as possible. So teams would have this affinity towards us. And I think our social game, it was intended to save us during this leg. Now, of course, we still ended up going home, but like if not for that roadblock, if we had been met with something different, I think the intention behind Joseph and Adam, you turning another team, was to have us stay, and they said that. So I think our social game really helped us out this season.
Yeah.
Yes. And when I say so sorry, that I'm not surprised that they used on us, not saying that like we take it for granted at all, but we were thinking that if anybody were to save us from the U-turn, it would have been somebody from the Trainwreck Alliance. So we're not surprised who did it, but we're obviously still super, super lucky.
Yeah.
No, I I think it's really interesting that you played up your relative youth compared to this group because it did strike me that you are the youngest team out there by quite a bit. And did that did that ever feel like an advantage or a disadvantage?
Yeah, I would say that felt like an advantage because I think on one hand, the other teams kind of underestimated us. On another hand, we were kind of the younger sisters of the group. And so our intention was for everyone to see a little bit of, their younger sister, their niece, their young cousin in us. And a lot of that can be chalked up to Simone and I just being ourselves. But like, yeah, we leaned into that for sure. And I think it helped diminish our threat level. And uh, something that I don't think they really highlighted was there were 3 detours this season that we participated in. And for 2 of them, we were the fastest teams, or I'm sorry, we were the fastest team. For Remember the Chair, fastest team of the entire day.
Yep.
For the Dance Challenge, fastest team of the entire day. So there were moments where we were quite strong, but I don't think anyone really like clocked that because we were just the young, bubbly, dancey sisters from
Mhm.
Chicago.
All right. Well, I know you got to run, but thanks for making some time to talk about all this and keep up all the good work outside of the Amazing Race.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you both.
All
Thank you,
right.
Thank
Jessica,
you.
Rob. And when I open up that sushi restaurant, you guys are getting invited to the
We'll be
Yes.
there
Friends
opening
and
night.
amazing.
family discount.
Yes. Okay. All right. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.